Taxpayers confronting their elected leaders.
Demanding answers and government reform. This after an ABC27 investigation. Amanda St. Hilaire is here now with the latest details. Amanda.
Alicia, Dennis, a few weeks ago we reported that Lower Paxton Township supervisors spent $20,000 tax dollars to feed themselves before public meetings, raising their food expenses by 73% while raising your taxes. The elected leaders would not answer our questions, but last night taxpayers got to ask questions of their own, and we got to ask a few more.
I've been a resident with my wife and family of Lower Paxton Township for 12 years. We have paid approximately $25,000 in our tax dollars to this municipality. Frankly, the ABC story motivated me to come to our first meeting.
Patrick Henderson says our food expense investigation was a wake-up call.
Appreciative of the work that ABC has done to bring this to light, and I think it's important that residents follow up and pay attention to what their elected officials are doing.
There should be reimbursement of the funds that were used for these meals before the meetings, because this is not right.
Also calls for reform following our discovery that the township does not cap food spending or require itemized receipts.
I would ask that you revisit the policies that have led to this, that you be good stewards of our tax dollars and transparent in their utilization.
There was discussion about a $178 charge we found at LensCrafters that had no receipt or documentation.
Yes, the LensCrafter charges was 2 police officers were sent for eye examinations because they had failed to qualify with their firearm.
And that couldn't have been communicated up front. We had to get to this point to get that information.
That's a reference to the supervisor's refusal to answer our initial questions.
We're trying to get answers for taxpayers. Don't you think they deserve a response?
Frankly, I believe that the reporter and the news and the citizens who rely upon them were entitled to those responses at that point in time.
I think that we deserve some more answers.
Appreciate you coming in and commenting. We are going to put a response to this in our newsletter coming out shortly.
After the meeting, we tried to get those answers.
As for the charges at LensCrafters, the township in a right-to-know request said there was no financial documentation for those. So how do you know those went for police expenses?
Because our manager said so. That's it. I'm not commenting anymore, man.
Does it concern you that there is no financial documentation?
Amanda, I'm not commenting anymore.
Why won't the board answer questions about this matter? It's about taxpayer dollars.
Why do you think?
Chairman Bill Hornung did not make it clear whether he was referring to our food investigation or our report from a few months ago about his apparent use of a township employee on township time to work at his private business. We kept pushing.
Why won't board members answer questions about this now? Responding in a newsletter is very different than answering questions face to face and being challenged.
Aren't watching our TV channel tonight, and we feel by doing it in the newsletter, then everybody in the township will get it.
For those at the meeting, that's just not good enough.
We look forward to the newsletter, but I think they frankly ought to be able to one-on-one explain how they're using taxpayer dollars and answer the questions that are asked.
And that was Patrick Henderson you just heard from. He brought his 10-year-old son Maxwell to that meeting because he said he wanted him to see how it looks when people are involved in local government. And Maxwell gave up watching part of that World Series games to be at that meeting.
Good lesson he got.
Exactly.
I mean, you could see the supervisors not used to answering questions like this, but I mean, it is important stuff. Have they indicated at all what they're going to say in the newsletter?
They were tight-lipped. They did say that their food expenses were only for meetings that started before 6 o'clock at night. But we went back and looked through all the public records. Almost all of those expenses were on days where meetings started at or after 6, very often at 7:30 p.m. By the way, that newsletter comes out on November 14th. That's when it's mailed out. At that point, taxpayers will have had to wait almost 1 month after our original story to get real responses from their elected leaders.
Okay. And hopefully they don't just throw them away, as many people may do with those township newsletters.
Well, we'll be following up on it.
Very good.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.